Hey, yo, it's David Gregory.
And Nikki Llewellyn Gregory, and you're listening to Addicted to Betterment. It's a podcast for high achievers wired for sharpening themselves or those looking for a regular system to develop and level up their life. We've only got one shot at this life. Don't waste any opportunity to live alive and love your life. Let's do this together. Click on the follow button to make sure you get all of our episodes as they drop. Hey, it's Nikki Llewellyn Gregory back with David Gregory, my husband, for our next episode of Addicted to Betterment. We are still laying the foundation and probably will for quite a few more episodes. In the midst of this season that we're launching with, we're reflecting and packaging up all of our foundational learnings or practices so that we can share them. We can learn from them and sharpen them, but share them with you to really help you strengthen your roots so that you can build from that foundation. I'm such a big believer in you got to lay that foundation and you got to have it really strong. It's, the life wheel in and of itself, right? So we're giving you all of our core practices and, we're coming off of the power of being present and being intentional and some of those tiny little habits that you do that really make such a big difference on date nights, make such a big difference in kid conversations, make such a explosive difference in the vision that you can lay with your people when you're so much deeper and present in the communication that you give. And then rolling into tiny habits and massive results. We've talked so much about our favorite book, Atomic Habits, and we just went deeper on what do those look like for us? It is all about the tiny habits, those little 15-minute increments we've got on our calendar to continue to grow from. So here's our next topic, and I'm going to let David take over and share why we chose this. But we're talking about doing things now. Do it now. Stop delaying. Life goes so fast. We've talked about one of our favorite songs being Eminem, Lose Yourself, because it just taps into exactly that message of like, we've got one shot. Let's go. So, David, I know it was heavy on your heart to really lean into this topic today, and I'm going to let you share why.
Oh man, Nikki. So it seems like in our life recently, we've had so many loud reminders, so many loud, profound nudges to live life fully, that life is short. It goes by fast. If you have kids, one day you're bringing them home from the hospital, and then it seems like 5 minutes later you wake up and they're at the Kelly School of Business, and you're thinking, where did that time go? But just recently, Nikki, and I know you are familiar with this story, but I was standing next to my mother at the burial of her mother, my grandmother. So I'm standing next to my mom, and as a son, you're trying to comfort your mom, and she's standing next to me, and I can kind of feel her gently just shaking a little bit as she's softly crying, and I have my arm around her shoulder, and I'm just kind of standing there holding her, and I can feel her just softly crying. And as I'm watching them lower the casket into the grave, and it's that solemn moment, the family's all standing there, and they're lowering it, and I watched it as it lowered, and as it went past the dirt and I could no longer see it, just the profound realization that life is short. That's it. That is it. It's over for her. And everything that she didn't accomplish, everything that she didn't do that she wanted to do, all the experiences that she wanted to have, that opportunity is gone. She lived a full life. She was a great lady, but whatever it is that she did not do that she wanted to do, or the experiences that she wanted to have, that opportunity is over. And the realization that life is short. We get one shot at this life. And I know you probably have an example of that as well, because they've been loud in our life recently.
Death is such a teacher. And, we experience so many emotions during death, but it's also such a profound reminder that, whether it's a funeral for a very close individual or someone that maybe we interacted with a few times, but we really looked up to, we're there and we're experiencing this, and we see all the screens and the pictures and the people that person interacted with and impacted during their dash. We've talked before about the poem, The Dash. I'd love to link that out again for those of you that haven't read it, or you can Google it, or you can look in the show notes. We have the date on our headstone, or, the day we were born. And then we have the date of the day we die. And we have that dash to live. And how many of us, this dash, we just let it continue to go by and go by and go by. And you're like, gosh, I've kept meaning to do this. I've said I wanted to do this for so long. and you're beating yourself up because you haven't taken action on something. Well, so much of this episode today is to help you get unstuck, to help you understand why is it that you are stuck, and hit it right on the head and get going, because life is so short. And David's grandmother, she lived to 90. Both my grandparents, that just the past couple of years, I buried both my grandparents, and they lived to 90 as well. We don't ever know if we have till 90. You know how many people wait and say, I'm going to wait for retirement. I'm going to, down the road, I'm going to get that one house, or I'm going to live in that one community that I'll finally feel that I'm part of. Really, I want you to rethink that. That's what we're here to share today. I'm going to give a real quick story of something that happened in my personal life that, also impacts David and a lot of our friends. And then I think, David, you're going to share a little LinkedIn post, and that'll be our setup. And then we're going to walk right into, why we delay and how to get going. So I have a really good friend. He has been a business advisor to me for many years. He lives in my community. His wife is very well known in the political spaces here. Really wonderful person. I have spent a ton of time with him, not a lot with her. I've always heard such wonderful things about, how she's living her dash, if you will. Well, on New Year's Eve, I saw this picture. They have a home in Florida as well as Indianapolis, where we are. And I saw a beautiful picture of them on the beach, their family, the kids, this beautiful picture. And I remember seeing that picture and liking it or hearting it and saying, Happy New Year, looks so amazing. Not even a week later, I got a call from him that said his wife is in the hospital, just got diagnosed with leukemia, and they don't know what's happening. I was in shock. I'm like, how do I even respond? And I look back, and it just literally a week before, on the beach with all smiles. And it rocked my day the next day. I mean, I'm still every day, praying and checking in for them. But this person who's not very old, like very much middle age, very much a vibrant person, gets a diagnosis all within this week. And, of seeing this beautiful picture on the beach, and then how different it is one week later. Gosh, I was like, wow, another wake up call. And David, I think you've got one more thing to kind of bring us home, just to inspire all of us to, really take action in living our life. So I'm going to hand it back over to you.
As we've been talking about this so much the last few weeks, I woke up the other morning and read a LinkedIn post from one of my friends, someone I admire a lot. And they said, while sitting in the back seat of an Uber this morning, my driver began to tell me about his father. He shared that his father served New York as a police officer for 24 years. He honored and revered him as he shared story after story. It was what he said next that captivated my attention. My father regularly talked about how much he looked forward to getting his pension, retiring, and moving to Florida to kick back and sip lemonade. He shared with a solemn tone, and he further stated he discussed it so much because he constantly worked day and night. It was all he talked about. God rest his soul. His father passed away of colon cancer 2 years before he retired. I held back tears. He never had the opportunity to kick back and sip that lemonade. And I read that and I'm thinking, are you fully living today? I've heard the quote, and I can't remember whose quote it is, so I apologize for that. But the quote is, I would hate to get to the end of my life and realize I never fully lived. And so today, what we really want to talk about is, what is it that's holding you back? Why are you not taking that action? And then hopefully, Nikki, together we can identify and explore some steps and processes to take those actions, to take that step.
The challenge, that the tightrope challenge, if you will, that I walk is saving for the rainy day, but not delaying for the rainy day. It's this balance of, yes, I want to invest in my future. Yep. And I do want to save for that rainy day, but I'm not going to wait for the rainy day. And so, what does that look like? And how you bring that to life is the life wheel, which we've talked about so many times. We'll link out to that again for those of you that this might be new for. But it is this circle that represents your entire life. And you have all of the different pie pieces, because you cut it into a pie. The pie pieces are what represent the different hats you wear, the different focuses that make you whole. And in our, let's say, vacation and fun bucket, we can't say, well, in 10 years, I'm going to take that trip to fill in the blank, right? You don't know if you're going to be here in 10 years. Yeah, great that you want to make a game plan for down the road for some big trip, but Are you also taking trips now? Are you living now? People that have a wake up call in middle age years, maybe they were delaying and, living for the rainy day, sipping the lemonade down the road. How do you flip the script, if you will, and incorporate the whole life into now while also saving for that rainy day? Man, it's a challenge. It's a tightrope challenge. And so I think now, if we were to think through, just brainstorm for a minute, why do we delay? Okay. So what are the reasons? Well, I'm overwhelmed, too much going on. I doubt myself. I don't know if I could
Mhm.
do it. Fear of failure. Oh, I'll
Yeah.
do it later. I'm gonna do it later.
Mhm.
Talk about kids. That's such a profound example, like David shared. It's like, well, I'm gonna do that fishing trip with this kid. We're gonna do it. We're gonna do it one day. All of a sudden, the kid gets his driver's license, and it is hard to pin down time. And it's like we've been talking about this for 10 years, and it was a fishing trip that we could have gotten up on a Saturday morning and went and done. Maybe it didn't need to be nearly as elaborate. We could have taken a first step and done it. Maybe it didn't need to be in the Mediterranean Sea first time. We could take the step and go down to a local lake an hour away to be able to have that experience.
Yeah, I'm trying to think to myself because I'm guilty of all of this. So I do laundry around the house, as you know, and it's not because I'm great at it or because I enjoy it. It's the one thing I feel like I can do to contribute.
I
You
am
know,
ever so grateful.
but I don't know if anyone else experiences this, and this is it almost traumatizes me. I do all the laundry, I fold the clothes, and as I'm doing that, I throw the socks in their own little basket. And I'll be dang those freaking socks sit in that basket like a monster, like a giant. And I look at that basket, I walk by it, and I know I need to fold them. I know I need to put them together, and I will delay that for days. And then when I finally do it, and I find like, okay, there's something on that I can watch while I'm putting these socks in, and it takes me like 3.5 minutes to do it.
And can we just all be honest for a second? Can we all just be honest? I mean, folding socks, laundry period, but the sock part, it is terrible. Like, I don't know. It does take 3.5 minutes, but it's just a terrible chore. And so I complain sometimes, well, I'll be sitting there seeing the basket and David's like, who does the laundry again? You know? And so anyway, I'm so grateful that you help with this laundry. And I do understand the struggle is real for the 3.5 minutes it does take to do socks. Like, I just wanted to throw that out there.
I ask myself, "Why do I put that off so much?" I mean, I might put it off for 2 weeks until I've dug in my sock drawer. I may or may not have even looked through your sock drawer, Nikki, but I'm like, "I can't steal any more socks." Now I'm out. I've gotta fold the ones, and I'm going through trying to just put the ones together, but I delay it and put it off and put it off. I don't know if it's because 'cause I'm overwhelmed. The thought of it, I wish I could understand why, but there's so many areas of our life. I use the sock one because it's an easy one, and I just had faced it. I faced this demon, yesterday morning, but I don't understand why we do this.
So obviously this sock example is like a super duper simple example. Now, let's put this into these things that we've been putting off, like starting that business, writing that book, signing up for that marathon, coordinating that family reunion. These things that are big and they're in the back of your mind. And sometimes big might be making that phone call that you've been meaning to make for a while because there was some turmoil or tension and you've been wanting to be the catalyst that makes some solution come to be, and that phone call is as big as planning the reunion. Whatever it is for you, there are things out there that right now you need to do. And then there's these aspirational things that you keep telling yourself, I'm going to do it sometime. I'm going to do it sometime. So those are the two things we really want you to picture in your mind. Like, think about what is the one thing, the two things, three things that I'm just delaying and I need to do it. It's going to make me feel a lot lighter. It's going to help me make a lot of impact, right? There's that side. The other side is aspirationally, gosh darn it, what is the thing that you keep telling yourself you're going to do at some point, and time is flying by. Every day ticks. It is going fast. And we want to empower you and give you some tools and ideas to get going on that thing you aspire to do, because you will be so proud of yourself when you get it going, and you'll be so proud of yourself when you do it. So, David, I'm going to walk into really like kind of three levels of thinking about this, and then let's just kind of play color a little bit. Does that sound good?
That sounds great. Let's do this.
All right. So, I like to look at things. I think I've shared before. Like I always kind of have my processes, like goals. It's like SMART, and you go through the SMART acronym. Okay, here's another habit for me is I look at challenges or things that I want to overcome or planning in a macro, meso, and micro perspective to help me think about it all the way. So I want to do it with this. So from a macro perspective, do it now or overcome the fear or the overwhelm or whatever. From a macro perspective, we have to change our mindset. It's the mindset. How are we thinking about this? And the best thing that I can tell you, other than listening to podcasts and reading books, to help you change your mindset, is you journaling out what it is that's holding you back. Why am I delaying? And just journal it out. What would this do if I took a next step and journal it out? Just those two questions right there. What is holding me back? You're probably going to journal it out and be like, that's it, right? That's all that's holding me back. Let's go. On the other side, the aspiration and the joy and the excitement of being able to get to that thing that you want to accomplish and just journaling about how will you feel? What will it be like to celebrate that? How will this impact other people? You have to change your mindset on this thing. So whether it's the getting unstuck or getting fired up, that's really the two sides of it. And that's what I think of when I think macro perspective.
Oh man, that's so good. I remember some time ago I was sitting with a close friend of mine, and she sat across from me, and she had tears streaming down her cheeks, and she said, "David, I'm miserable in this relationship that I'm in. I am miserable, and I would give anything to just get divorced." And I sat there and a little bit surprised because on the surface it seemed like they had it all together and like they were just a great family. And I asked a little bit more questions, and she just shared with me why she was miserable. And I asked the question and said, "Why don't you make it change?" And she looked at me and she's like, "I don't know how. I don't know the next steps to take." And that person is still in that relationship today. And those kinds of moments make me realize that what is it? Why are the things exactly what you said that's holding us back? So for me, often when I kind of take a closer look at that, it's head trash. What are the things in my head that I am thinking, perceiving that in reality, and I love what you said about writing it down, because when you really look at it, one, is it really as bad or is it really as big of a deal as what I think it is? Two, is it worth whatever that is in my head that's holding me back to overcome that? Whether I can think of, even as we're doing this episode right now and recording this, I think of three or four things in my life that I'm like, man, I'm putting it off. I'm putting it off, whether it's getting started on this fitness program or whether it's starting this nutrition thing or business things that you just seem overwhelming. And yeah, that's good stuff. Writing it down is a big one. Thank you for sharing that.
So many of the answers that we need are within us. Like I would go out on a limb and say 90% of the answers that we need for next things in our lives are inside us. We don't take the time to reflect. For David and I, it's to be in prayer, and hopefully you have higher power guidance. But between that higher power guidance and what's inside of you, it's there. We don't take the time for that to sit down and really tap in. So one of the things I didn't mention is I have like 5 things on my list right now. I am a very action-oriented person, but I am like walking through these for myself right now. I have to figure out which one I'm going to share, but I'm like working through the things that I'm stuck on myself as I am talking through this. So just to throw that out there. When I look at this next layer, this meso layer, if you will, I think support system, I think environment, I think accountability, I think of health. Those are some of the things that come to mind. So, just going to kind of share a little bit on this. Your support system for making changes, for taking a leap, any of these things you're stuck on, your support system is crucial. Who are your cheerleaders? Who are the people in your life that are building you? You have to have that in your life, like, period. Whether you're taking big leaps or not. I hope all of us are at all times taking big leaps, but you have to have a strong support system. Number 2, your environment should inspire you, should uplift you. My home is my respite. My office space is energizing. Just those 2 words. If you can't go home at night and have a respite and a place to, especially with how fast many of us move, if you're listening to Addicted to Betterment, you probably move pretty fast. You've got a lot going on. You have to have an unplugged place. You have to have a safe place. You have to have that in order for you to be able to do the hard stuff. So your environment has to be a respite, has to inspire you, and you fill in the blank on all the other things. So you've got to have a solid environment. Number 3, underneath this mezzo is accountability. If you're going to write that book, start that business, land that speaking engagement, run that marathon, you have to have accountability. And typically those are people. You might have some apps in your life or whatever, which is fantastic. But, why is it that runners are part of running clubs? Why is it that writing a book, you're typically part of a forum where other people are? It's because of the accountability that brings. And finally, regular actions, if you will, in this meso space is you have to take steps regularly for your mental and physical health. If you know you are not nearly as good if you do not get at least 4 workouts in a week or something, your rhythm. Again, going inside you, you know it all, but you're not doing it, you are not setting yourself up to be able to take the leaps, to overcome the overwhelm, to overcome the self-doubt, because your mental and physical health is a foundational part of overcoming how fear failure and doing things later. You've got confidence when you feel better about yourself.
That's beautiful. So let's break that down and make it a little more practical. You nailed that. So for me, I'll give a personal example of what that looks like. I recently shared in one of our recent podcasts that my health journey got a little out of control over the holidays. A few too many cocktails, way too much to eat. My wife and my sister are two of the best cooks on the entire planet. So it's a terrible thing around the holidays. That being said, I stepped on the scales in January and I almost passed out when I seen the number. And I have a couple friends that I'm close to that I work with that are just great people. We inspire each other. We talk shit to each other. We share this group text. And on that text string, one of the members put, I plan to lose 20 pounds in X amount of days. And I, as I should, great job, go get it. And we talked about that for a minute. And I did something in that moment that I've never done in my entire life. I actually shared my current weight with that group. I've never done that. That scared me to death to actually put my weight on there. I know they just about dropped their phones when they read that. But what I did was I said, I'm going to lose X amount of pounds by such date. And one of the people on that text string instantly sent me a message, said, let's hold each other accountable. Let's do this. And so from that, what I learned exactly what you said. Find people who are pursuing the same goal around you. Get accountability, your community, your accountability, and they will help you with those action steps. You know, the power in that, it was uncomfortable. It was out of my comfort zone to share that weight, to say, here's how much I'm going to lose by this date. I committed to it. So I shared my goal. I got people around me to be accountable, but I also had those people to inspire me. They're sharing their workouts, sending pictures. Hey, made it to the gym, and that inspiration and accountability keeps me. Have I done it perfectly? No, but I can promise you, I sure as hell have done it a lot better if I didn't have that accountability and that inspiration.
Oh, absolutely. Sharing things out loud that are uncomfortable with other people, whether it's like, something that you want to change, like your weight. That's very vulnerable and huge to put that out there. And it does something to propel, like, now I said it, now I shared it, I need to do something about it. Or on the other side, the aspirational side, you speak in terms of what you're going to do. I will run a marathon this year. You said this out loud to people. It's like now you've got more accountability because you put it out there. It's such a powerful thing. I mean, it works for me. So, for those of you that you think that works for you, if you feel like you could adopt that and run with it, go do it. Go tell somebody today. So, David, as we look at the micro habits, I'm thinking of a few here. And for all of you, thinking like micro mindset, meso, this layer that supports you in your day to day, right? And then the micro, the miniature things that we're doing that produce massive results, right? So, journaling. I shared with you a little bit ago. It's one of the things I have not built a muscle for. So I cannot say it's a habit for me, but man, when I do it, it's really powerful. I regularly carry a journal. I do jot things down. I need to get deeper on this. So journaling daily between you and God, you have 90% of your answers. Truly, they're within you. God guides that stuff. And so journaling daily for the inspiration that you need to break down your day and get rolling. Morning routine. David and I have talked about this. We'll probably talk about it on every episode. It is a habit that is a game changer. Waking up well in advance of the first thing you have to do in the morning and working on your mind, bringing in your prayer, bringing in the things that center you, doing breathing exercises, getting clear on your day, knowing all the things in your day so there's no fire drills and hiccups, right? I play chess every morning with my calendar and I do it during that time. The third one I thought of for a micro habit is reframing. We can be our best enemy in getting things accomplished because of our own self-talk and reframing regularly, where you catch yourself saying, like, when it's like, there's no way I'm going to do that this week. Yes, there is a way. I might not be able to do it as big as I wanted, but let's reframe this and we can take 2 steps. Maybe we were going to do 5. We can, if things can change. You don't have to stick to woke up on Monday morning and I was doing these 5 things. Okay, well, you get to Wednesday rather than just giving up, shift it and say, I'm going to do 2. It is just my reality this week. So, with all of that, I just want to really move into, inspiring you to nail down what's past due for you. What is past due for you right now? That's either holding you back because you haven't done it. And gosh, the weight would be lifted if you did, or, and whichever way you want to look at it, this thing that you have been aspiring to do, what is it? And what is one step that you can take to move forward on it? That's really the inspiration that I'm calling you for today. And so David will be doing a recap here in just a minute, but let me share just a process that I use. I just found out actually this past year in 2022, working with 34 Strong. They're a Gallup firm, and I did the Clifton Strengths Finder book years and years ago. And now it's called Clifton Strengths. They've rebranded that, but it's the same thing. There's 34 strengths in human beings. My number one of 34 is activator. I've always known I'm good at that, but until I took that assessment, I was like, whoa, I really need to be using this strength more to share with people. And so here's how I wanted to break this down to tell you about how to activate these things that you're stuck on or you're aspiring to do. Okay. Number 1, break it down. The reason you're overwhelmed is because it's too much. You have to break it down and make it a simple plan with very clear steps and deadlines for your milestones. So, in terms of a book, thinking of writing a book, I've never done that. I actually did get involved in a group to do that at one point in my life, probably 10 years ago. Just wasn't my time. We broke it down, we made the outline, but I got stuck and it wasn't a hell yes for me. So it really wasn't an excuse to stop. It just was at that time in my life. And I'm really glad that I didn't, looking back. Some point I might do it. But right now, the thought of writing a book completely overwhelms me. However, when we were in that session, I remember the very first step was to think about, okay, what is the title and mission of this book? And now brainstorm the chapters. What are the key points that you want to make underneath that title? I have used that process so many times. So I didn't write the book, but dang, that process has helped me. And then to say, okay, these might be the 12 chapters or not. If I feel good about these first 2, I feel confident in them, I can take a step on these first 2. And so these 2 chapters, I'm just going to write an outline for. And that's what I'm going to do this week, right? Break it down. Number 2, having a support system that empowers you, that inspires you, that is healthy for you, people that celebrate you. You have to have people around you. What does this look like? Texting your friends in the morning that are in that support system, having a loving partner in your home that, is excited for you and uplifts you and cheers you on. You have to have the support system around you that builds you up. It's very hard to do life alone. If you are someone that feels like you are alone in life right now, you don't feel like you have support in your business or your personal life or what friendships, please make that a priority. That needs to go on your priority for what you're doing now. Is there's so many organizations around you, online, offline, to help you build relationships. You need a support system. You need to have people around you. If you want to succeed in life, you have to have key people in your life helping you to do that. And you need to be that for other people. Number 3, accountability. So whether that is a couple of your support system that you regularly check in with, I have a mastermind group. We meet every month. We report on exactly what we say we're going to do and report back on that. My team now operates on EOS. So we use EOS as a operating system, if you're familiar, to check in on our goals and meet on those and hold ourselves accountable. You have to have accountability. And here's the 4th one. There's probably many, but these are my core 4, if you will. Celebrate every milestone. In order to keep going, even when you're like, I barely did anything, I just wrote an outline for the first 2 chapters, celebrate it. What does that look like? At dinner, whether you're having a cocktail, a mocktail, or water, whatever it is, cheers. Cheers to that. Share that you're proud of yourself for that and celebrate every milestone as you do this challenging thing. David, bring us home.
Thank you, Nikki. We are committed to working very hard to bringing content for this podcast that will add value to your life, that will give you ideas or tools to get better in some area of your life. So what we're doing is every episode, we will work very hard to bring practical action steps that you can incorporate in your life right now to achieve that. So here are the recap action steps for this episode. Remember, life is short. Do it now. Whatever it is, don't wait. Do it now. The 3 action steps. Write it down. Share it. Share it with your friends. Share it with the people in your circle. Number 2, seek out people that can elevate you. Your environment should inspire you. Number 3, seek accountability. None of us like it. All of us need it. Seek accountability. So, you just listened to this episode. Now, join us in being addicted to betterment. Subscribe to the show, share with your friends, tag us, and please take a moment, leave a review. Yeah, we do want your stars, but we really want the feedback.